If you really look at what your foreman's position, in my opinion, is the most valuable position that you've got on your crews, because that is your first line of defense. That was a very good one,
I
but
did get you.
I mean, you're
did
going to
get
put me
you.
to the dark time, and there's going to be some bears coming out of here. You got to deal with my wife. That's all I got to tell you. That was some of the better advice. Is when you're at work, you need to have your mind on work and not at home. I think a little bit of time in the field to just see. We bid a job, and we were doing it over towards Shreveport, and we're walking the line, and the engineer is looking at the wood H-frames and going, man, these are bigger, in real life. And I'm thinking, oh, crap. Problems with storm, and you get a lot of crews, a lot of manpower in there, and they want to go to work. They want to work. You're waiting on material.
Yeah.
You're sitting there waiting. Nobody wants to hold material because it's cost them money on taxes.
You said your wife is Astros fan. She likes the Astros. I did go to the World Series, Phillies, Astros World Series, and somebody I went with super nice enough to get me this beautiful memorabilia.
Disclaimer, the views are the guests alone, not those of the host or sponsors.
Welcome to a new episode of From Boots to Boardroom. I'm your host, Hari Vasudevan, founder and CEO of Kyro AI. Previously, as many of you know, I was the founder and CEO of Think Power Solutions. Not every leader sits in a corner office. Our guest today is living proof of that, right? Rick Garland.
Yeah.
From Boots to Boardroom shares the journeys of those who power America, from the job site to the boardroom, leading with grit, tenacity, empathy, and vision. Hope you'll find the show to be educational, entertaining, eye-opening, and most importantly, entrepreneurial. Presenting sponsor for the show is Kyro AI. Digitize work and maximize profits. For more information, visit Kyro.ai. Today's guest is Rick Garland. Super glad to have Rick on the show. Rick is a lineman from IBEW Local 66 in Pasadena, Texas. His dad, Joe Garland, and brother, Joe Garland II, were all linemen in IBEW. Rick Garland, welcome to the show. So good to see you.
How you doing?
Awesome, man. Awesome. Super great to see you. Seems like you're having a good time and somewhere outdoors in California. Thanks for taking your time during your vacation.
Yes, sir.
It means a lot to us and obviously our listeners and viewers here. So. Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. All right. So, let's give the listeners a little bit about who Rick Garland is, right? Where you grew up. Tell us a little bit more about, your dad and brother Joe, who are all linemen, and how your personal life story as well as your professional life story, right? How all that influences your decision-making today.
Well, I was born in Canton, Ohio. Some people may not realize that, but went all through school down in Alvin, Texas. And that's where my brother and I,
Hall of Fame Canton.
yes,
Is that right?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. And I've only been there one time, but it's interesting up there. So my brother and I, and the family, we grew up down there in the Houston area. And like we mentioned before, I didn't know my dad was a lineman. He did not bring work to the house. I had no idea really what he did. I know in our when he came down into Houston area, he was working with the Ellie Myers company, and Ellie Myers came down, got established in the Houston area with him, and he was the district manager and all that until he passed away in '79. And my brother got into the trade, I want to say it was either late 77 or 78. and he was already in the apprenticeship before I got into the trade. I got into the trade in November of '79, and the funny thing was I was roofing houses at the time, and I came home for lunch, and my then wife, she goes, "Oh, you work for Ellie Myers now." So, "What do you mean I work for Ellie Myers?" Well, it's the guy who took Bobby Miller, who took my dad's position when he passed away. He, they were needing help down at the South Texas Nuclear Project in Bay City, and they offered my mom a job for me, and she accepted for me, which it turned into thanks mom, because it turned into a way better career than I ever would have had roofing houses. Um, so it
Al-
worked out
Although,
really.
although, although roofers make a ton of money.
Yeah, yeah, but I did have a pretty good tan back then, but no, it was pretty tough. You got to own your own business if you're going to make a lot of money doing it,
There's
but
no doubt
it
about
is
it
a
on
very
roofing.
good, tough trade also.
Yes.
So yeah, I found out over lunch that I was going to have to turn in my notice that I was not going to be roofing houses after that week, and started with Myers as a groundman grunt, as RL would say. Um, Started down there at the nuclear plant in '79, and
Okay.
like I say, this is went all through the apprenticeship. 2 years as a groundman, 4 years through the apprenticeship program, and just kind of worked your way up the ladder. As most people do, as something's presented to you, you want to tackle it. Yeah, yeah, sure, I'll go do it, no problem. Um, but knew when to say when, you know.
Yeah.
But it led to a very good career for
Yeah.
myself, and being able to take care of my family and others. It's
Yeah.
been really
So,
good.
yeah, no, let's go to the early days, right? So 2 years
Mm.
as a groundman, 4 years apprenticeship program. What are some of the challenges you experienced in those early days, right? And did you ever think, man, what did I get myself into?
Some days, yeah, some days like we were pulling rope across. We were doing a transmission line for at the time HL&P, and it went across the San Jacinto River and all that up around Kingwood and such, and we were flying in the two of the towers. Well, that's the first time I've ever seen helicopter work on a power line job. Of course, I was only a fourth step apprentice, I believe, at that time. And we're up there, and it's going too slow trying to catch two towers at a time. So they combined everybody on the one tower. So somebody's back bolting while somebody's catching steel, and the helicopter come in with the heaviest pick of the tower, and he actually lost a motor coming
Jeez.
in. He had two props. He has a two
Wow.
engine machine, and lost one of the engines, and he still tried to bring it up on and set the steel, but wound up dragging it across the top. I was down at the back bolting area, and most of the journeymen and one apprentice was up at the catching the steel, and w- it come across and hit one of the apprentices.
Jeez.
It didn't kill him, but it was bad. And that was a day that I thought, if I'll try not to cuss. That I thought, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah.
But it's also it's also the day that I saw when everybody talked about brotherhood and all that. That's when I saw it, because I saw them journeymen run. I've never seen anybody able to run up and down inch and a half steel to get to that guy
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
hold him up,
Yeah.
in their shoulders, and then hold him in place until uh, they brought the helicopter crew, the life flight crew out. And then I saw a paramedic, whoever had a belt that fit him, he went on up that tower too. And it was a good, and I saw the good, and I saw what could happen in this trade. And I, it didn't scare me out of it. I just put it that way. I just saw how bad it could be, and then
Yeah.
how to handle it.
Yeah, you saw how bad it could be. You saw how
Yes.
you could handle it. You saw the brotherhood of
Hmm.
IBEW. For those who may not know the listeners who may not know what IBEW is, could you educate
It
them at
is
what
the
IBEW is?
International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, and it's just the union side of this business. I work around a lot of guys, and I've hired a lot of guys from the non-union side, and um, the union's good at teaching and training, but I never dismiss the training and what the non-union guys could do too. So I don't want to turn this into a union non-union thing, because there's some pretty good hands, really good hands on both sides of the fence. And but
Yeah.
it's a union side of the business, and it's helped me have a really good
Yeah.
livelihood.
People get trained well. They go to different
Yep.
halls, and
Yes.
when there's
Mhm.
work,
Yep.
employers come get people from the local
Yes.
unions, and they go to work. And after the project is completed, you go
Yeah.
back to the local hall and wait for the next project. And in return for that, your IBW members get obviously good wages. Depends on the local.
Hmm.
That is bargained, as well as great benefits. Is that,
Yeah.
in a
Very.
nutshell, is that a good way to put it?
Yes. Yeah. You said it way better than me. But
Yeah,
yes, it is. It's a very good benefit program, and it's your insurance, your retirement, everything is it's nice, and it helps
yeah,
you out. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, so that's good. So uh, you touched base on that topic of how brotherhood helps and things like that. So I know thank you so much for listening to the previous episodes of From Boots to Boardroom. We talked about safety. We talked about human performance. We talked about Daryl talked about how listening is more important in a meeting and things like that. All these different things, right? So tell me this: did you take anything away from that early career moment, right? The importance of safety. I don't know, back in the day, if human performance was a thing in IBW or in the trade
It
itself, right?
it
What's
it
your take
it
on that?
it is it has improved dramatically over the years. There was a time period in the I want to say it was the mid to late '80s that I just wasn't happy the direction it was going, and it's gotten a whole lot better. And there's a lot of buy-in instead of people trying to push back. Um, more people looking at the what could happen versus let's just get it done part of the
Yeah,
trade. Um, it's gotten way better, way
yeah,
better. But back in my day, I was fortunate enough to be around some pretty good linemen, and were they hardcore? Yeah. Did they put you in your place pretty quick? Yep. You learn to be quiet unless you really had a question. The first pole I climbed, a man named Perry Pilgrim, he let me go up and cut the rigging loose, and I asked him anything else. He goes, "No, that's all you're qualified to do. Come on down." So I came on back down. Um, but there were some really good guys, but they put you in your place, but they taught you if you wanted to learn, they would teach you. But if you
yeah,
didn't want to learn and you were just trying to get a paycheck,
yeah.
yeah, it was
They knew, and
they knew, and you weren't
they
going to be
put you in
there
the
long.
spot, right? So
You were about to change your mind, or you were about to leave. So,
yeah, yeah. No, to
but
your point about the evolution of safety, before OSHA was established, this is a stat that RL
mhm,
mentioned previously.
yes,
One of the episodes was 1 in 2 people, linemen,
yep,
expected to die on the job. Right? It's
yeah,
nuts, 50%. Right?
yeah,
And today the number is 1 in 2,000. It's still high, 0.05%. I mean, obviously, you want it to be lower and lower as time
yeah,
progresses, right? But it's a
yep,
drastic improvement to go from 1 in 2 to 1 in 2,000. It's a
yeah,
pretty significant number there. So
yeah. It's still that's still too many,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
and this
yeah,
to happen. I mean,
yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah, I know. Since you said it's 1 in too many, obviously it's too many, right? I know you had a personal strategy from that standpoint. Your brother Joe, the second, who everyone I spoke to just was just had such high opinion and praise of his skills and what he did on the job, as well as a
hmm,
human being, right? So if you don't want to talk about it, perfectly understandable. But how did this incident happen or accident happen for Joe?
I think you might be getting it confused. It was my brother's son, the one
Brother's son. Okay.
we talking about the induction.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, that was my nephew. That was another tough day when I had to call my brother and say, "Hey, where you at? You need to get over here pretty quick." Um, yes, it was. They were doing a routine job. Is that's what you want me to kind of describe
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah.
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 So it was what I would call a routine job, changing out dead end shoes on a transmission line, and that's all they were doing. Now the bad part was it was half day outages because it was in the summer in the Houston area, and it was just outside what was then a power plant. So you had a whole lot of lines coming out of there and a whole lot of induction. Well, lack of planning is the best way I want to put it, is what happened. And they were working off ladders, and they had already changed out one dead end shoe and working on ladders. You know how you put all your rigging on your ladder and you just let it straight down to the next phase and the next phase. And they they were only grounding one phase instead of all three phases, which was
Hmm.
um, total BS.
Yeah.
So what happened was when they moved the ladder down to the middle phase, my nephew starts to walk out on the ladder, and he's got a hold of the lacing of the steel right at the time he steps onto the ladder, which all the rigging and everything is steel, chain hoist, cable sling, all that good stuff. And your ladder, most guys that watch this will know, you got to pick your ladder up higher than, because when you walk out, it's going to bring it down. Well, it was touching the phase, and that phase wasn't grounded yet. So when he
Jeez.
stepped off the ladder to that and touched that steel, it got him. It got him. I got a call. We were having a meeting with the power company, and I think it was a biweekly meeting. And the guy calls, tells me, and this is where the training has got a lot better for everybody to recognize what's happened, how to respond to somebody. I got a call from the foreman, and he tells me, "Hey, his name was Nicholas. Um, he um, he says he got the crap knocked out of him, basically."
Hmm.
I said, "Is he all right?" He goes, "Yeah, yeah, he's fine." So myself and the general foreman were going to go in the meeting, and I had a bad feeling. I just you have that
You you just
feeling
had a bad
something's not
feeling
right. So
intuitively.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I asked the GF, "Hey man, I can take care of this. Go out there," because they were like 30 minutes away. So man, go out there and see what's going on. I said, "Something don't feel right." So he got out there, and then I'm sitting there kind of squirming, and the power company guy told me, he said, "You need to go," and I said, "I think I do." So we headed out there. And when I got there, they were trying to get the truck down in there to get him, back it down into this gully, that's why we were working it off ladders, because it was a mud hole. So, and that's what we did back then. We worked off ladders all the time. So anyway, I get there, they're still kind of running around, and everybody was in shock. And I know that's what it was. They were in shock. They didn't know what to do. It's a crew
Hmm.
that's been together. Um, and he, get up the tower, and I helped them get him into the bucket. They got the bucket in there. I got up the tower to help get him into the bucket, and it was yeah, it was too late. It
Hmm.
already had the induction. It was a whole lot of induction in that corridor that comes through there.
Yeah.
So anyway, and it was all because of lack of planning. After whenever you do a incident investigation, you're going to hurt some people's feelings, but you
Yeah.
have to find the truth out, or you will not fix the problem.
Otherwise, it's going to happen again to
It's going
somebody
to
else.
happen again, and I probably ruffled feathers, and so what? That's the way it is. But come to find out, they showed up without a hand line. So then somebody's got to run
Jeez.
to the yard, go get a hand line, and then so the day's already starting late because of lack of planning. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I whether they felt rushed, I don't
Yeah.
know, but there's no reason to rush things. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just get the circuit out the next day and you finish up the job. So he lost his life over that, and he was going to be a really good lineman too.
Yeah.
Um,
Man, sorry
but
to hear that.
over,
How old is he?
I want to say he was in his mid 20s.
Jeez.
It's yeah,
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
and well,
Eh,
it's
Crazy.
what my brother and I after that had everybody has pet peeves, and you know one of mine is grounding. That was his
Yeah.
too, is because it cost us. And the kicker is the foreman knew, the guy in the air knew, and even my nephew, he'd been in it. I think it was fifth step. He knew, to ground, but
Yeah.
they were trying to get in a rush to get things
Yeah.
done for absolutely no reason. But he,
That's exactly what Jeff White, our HP head, who set up the HP program for Southern Company, always used to say, "Hey, slow down. You don't have enough time. Slow down so that you can think through things properly. Don't let the outside pressure
well,
influence you." And there's not outside pressure. A lot of times, it's self-induced too, right?
it is,
So,
it is, it is.
uh,
I'm very careful when I go out on job sites because I don't know what it is. I mean, I usually like to joke around and have a good time with everybody, but uh, people wonder why I'm there.
yeah,
So, like, if I know they're out there doing a major wire pull or some big, I'll let them know if I'm coming out there or not, just so they can go, "Hey, I'm just coming to look, just see how you're doing.
yeah, yeah,
Don't get all nervous and wondering what's he looking at, what's he got, you know."
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
No,
don't know what it is.
no, thanks for sharing this, obviously, with our listeners, right? Because, this more open discussion we have about these things and
Yeah,
experiences that others will have, just
uh,
allows everybody in the industry to kind of slow down a little bit, think about it, and hopefully be just a little bit safer, right? So
yeah.
you were, yeah,
I want to add something to that.
yes,
Is don't let nobody rush you. No job is worth having to deal with something like that to lose somebody. No job at all. It don't matter. I tell our guys, if we didn't bid it well enough, that's not on you. You do what it
yeah,
takes to get the job done, get it done safe, because it's not worth it.
yeah,
And if I tell some of these young guys that I don't really want to say young guys that want to kind of cowboy things up a lot, and I said if you've never had to deal with something like this, you don't want to. It will absolutely haunt you.
yeah.
It'll
For the
just
rest of your
sneak up
life,
on
for the rest of your career, rest of your
or
life, honestly, right? No, you're
it
right.
is.
Honestly, if somebody didn't bid it properly, it's
Mhm,
okay to lose money on the job as opposed to
mhm.
losing a life, right? Or getting hurt on a
It is.
job,
It is.
because you can always make that money up down the road, but you can't bring somebody back to life, right?
No, no,
Um,
it's once I got into the management side and saw what they look at as far as the cost side of it, and to make you the field side, we want to go get it done. Not have to climb that pole twice, because everything's right. But sometimes you do got to sit back and slow yourself down a minute and get your head right, and then
yeah,
go back to work.
100%,
It'll
100%.
pay. It'll pay every time to just slow down a little bit and take a look.
100%, 100%.
So.
So, going back a little bit now, right? So you just completed your 4-year apprenticeship, and then I kind of went on a tangent to other stuff because of
Mhm.
the free flowing nature of our discussion. So you did that, you finished your apprenticeship, and keep going, Rick.
Just finished the apprenticeship, and out of the back then, you had to have 7,000 hours in your apprenticeship to top out, and 1,000 of it has to be either rubber glove or hot stick time. So mine lasted a little more than 4,000 because at the time there wasn't a lot of. It was mostly transmission work out there, so I was a 7-step apprentice. I don't know how long, and when I finally came back to Houston and got put on a reconductor job, it was like 6 weeks. I got all my hot time, and I was able to finally top out. And just, I did not want to be a foreman for several years because you know I had one lineman tell me that just because you top out tomorrow doesn't make you a journeyman, and that's something I would almost want to say to the younger linemen coming up is, just the day before, you might have topped out today, but yesterday you were a 7th period apprentice. You were an apprentice yesterday. Now you're a journeyman,
Yeah.
and your responsibility just changed because now you have to take this young apprentice who doesn't know anything, and you have to keep them safe. So that's when I always would say it, class just began for you. That's
Yeah.
why I didn't want to be a foreman for several years. And then when I felt comfortable with it, they'll try to push that on you. Um, they need to get some more seasoning as a journeyman before they take a position like that. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
the buck, just saying, speaking out of Local 66, back then, just a buck an hour wasn't worth it. I mean,
Yeah.
you learn a whole lot more. I kind of wish I'd have went traveling a little bit because later in my career, I came out here to California for 2 years and just saw a whole different world that I wasn't privy
Yeah.
to. Didn't have to deal with it back then.
Yeah.
Well, did not deal with it, but I was used to our system in Houston. So
It's different. I mean, I know some
it's
linemen who kind of travel. Corey Haynes. Jay Vogt. Those guys. They've kind of traveled around
hmm
the country, and the experience that comes with being a journeyman around the country is
hmm
something that you can't teach, right? Books
yeah.
can't teach, right? So, uh,
No, it can't. Most of your experience is going to be on the job. And then I wound up taking a foreman's position, and I've been a foreman on either distribution, transmission, underground. It didn't matter. I always would say, as long as I could pay the bills and put food on the table, it didn't matter to me. What we did,
so
it
the
really
extra,
it really didn't. I mean,
yeah.
it's you
So the
know,
extra buck came with a lot of authority, but authority comes with accountability and responsibility, right? Serious responsibility, serious
yes,
accountability,
yeah, yeah.
and
If you really look at what your foreman's position, in my opinion, is the most valuable position that you've got on your crews because that is your first line of defense. If they're going to let somebody do something
yeah,
stupid or not,
yeah, yeah. No,
that's a technical word for me, but do the wrong thing. They're the ones that are there to stop that from happening, and that is the position too. Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So, so you kind of already alluded a little bit to of advice to young people as to what they should ideally do, right?
hmm
Um, I would categorize you as an old school guy. I mean, your looks give it out to me, right? What is the differences that you see old school versus new school? Um, people moving up a little too fast in their career. I mean, it's also a function of demand, right? The demand is high. What's your take on that?
I see a lot of the younger guys. They're now. Don't get me wrong. There's some guys as soon as they top out, they 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 can handle it. They can do a really good job of it. I think a lot of guys don't realize what the position really is. They don't realize that you are the final call on the job at the time, and it doesn't matter if your buddy wants to do it this way or another way. You're the one that has to make that decision. We'll go with that or we won't. And some of them can't deal with that. Some of them are really good at it. The pressure, some of them don't want to tell somebody what to do. They'll just soon do it themselves, which
Well,
kind
yeah,
of defeats the
so
purpose. But it's,
if I may interject there, Rick. So there are three categories you mentioned. One is some of them who, who really get it. Okay. So these guys get it, right? Some of them, they don't want to, teach somebody else. We have a problem there. You need to teach them to speak up and, delegate work so that you, develop
yes.
more qualified people. But what about the ones in the middle who are just not qualified enough, but who just move up too fast?
Uh,
What's your concern with that?
my concern is their GF. You always have a general foreman or some sort of a supervisor above them that eh, they have to know also what work that person can take on, right? And what their qualifications are. You have it all the time. This crew. Here's your A team, B team. This guy's good at hot sticking. This guy's good at backyard work. This you got to know the general foreman. You get into that position, he has to know what that foreman can do, and that will help either a young foreman succeed or fail. I mean, if you put a young guy that's suddenly you're putting him on a bunch of three-phase underground transformers and stuff, and he's never messed with it before. And it's, well, you're the foreman, you got to figure it out. They're setting him up to fail. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would just advise young guys to just take a little bit of time after you top out,
Yeah.
become a journeyman. Just take a little bit of time and just see what it's like. Take on that lead lineman role. To take some pressure off of your foreman and just kind of take on that a little bit, and that'll show you whether you really want the headache the headache or not.
Yeah.
Some guys decide they'd rather not mess
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
Uh, but I've seen some really young guys handle things. I mean, my
Just
brother, when they
some
made him, they did that to my brother. He topped out and they made him a foreman. Now, one of the challenges that he dealt with was the older linemen having to, you got to have their
report.
respect to do the work.
Yeah.
You just can't
Young guy
suddenly, hey,
reporting,
yeah,
young guy have to report to this guy. It's almost like in a football analogy, if you will, right?
hmm
Um, you may or may not be a football fan, but I am a huge football fan, right? So you have somebody like a Patrick Mahomes who sat behind Alex Smith for a year. And then the next year he was ready to be a quarterback, right? Because he sat in the quarterback room. He knew what a veteran quarterback
yep,
was doing, getting ready. Same thing with this guy in Baltimore, Lamar Jackson. Some of these really good young quarterbacks who sit behind a veteran for
hmm
a year or two. Aaron Rodgers, right behind Brett Favre.
yeah,
So you have
yep,
these guys who sit behind veteran quarterbacks, and then they get ready to learn. They learn the game from a veteran, and then they're ready to
yeah,
go when their time comes. It's no different than that.
yeah.
What you're saying, is that fair?
Yeah, exactly. Don't be pressured into taking a position. Sit back and learn a little bit and get, once you become a journeyman, if you're working for somebody you really don't care to, you can actually move on to another crew or to another company and find your comfort spot
Yeah.
and learn from the older guys. I When I came up as an apprentice, I tell some of these guys, I said, I never listened to the other apprentices because I figured they didn't know any more than I did. Because I'm learning. How do you know more? You've been in the same amount of time. So I listen to a lot of the journeymen, the older journeymen, and that if if they're a good journeyman, they'll teach you.
Yeah.
They'll teach you because somebody taught them. Somebody took the time.
It's part of the trade at the end of the day,
It's
right?
it's it's part of the trade, and that's what I would tell the younger guys. Just don't feel pressured to take that position just because they need to put another crew on for the power company. If you're ready, by all means, do it, but don't be scared to ask questions. What's that game show? Call a friend. Don't feel
Yeah.
bad and that you got to call somebody. Hey, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
I call somebody. I've called somebody before here recently. Just, hey, what do you think about this? And it doesn't hurt to get another opinion, but just don't be pressured. But if you're ready, take it
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's wired differently, right? So,
Yeah,
carrying on the same quarterback analogy, you have young quarterbacks who, from day one, they're great, right? But that doesn't mean sitting behind a veteran is a bad thing or taking your time. We all mature at a different pace in life. We all learn at a different pace. Uh, so
yeah,
uh, so this demand, right? So demand for alignment, right? Uh, is insane, right? The number of linemen,
it's fixing to be scary.
it is fixing to be scary.
Yes, it is.
I was at an Edison Electric Institute conference where somebody from IBEW had come and spoke. And if I remember my numbers right, I think they were saying they need 80,000 uh, new uh, linemen per year or something like that, right? So it's a pretty insane number, if you will, right? That threw me off actually, right? Because you have AI coming in, data centers, new build out of transmission line, distribution line, all kinds of things coming up, right? So what's your take on the demand for linemen? As RL put it on my show here, today they're flipping burgers, tomorrow they're in a line school learning to be linemen, right? Which is good. Obviously, you want you want people to grow out of fast food entry level jobs into something better, but obviously it comes with a little bit of maturity. What's your concern about all those things?
My biggest concern slash worry is somebody coming into the trade and being pushed along just because of the need for the lineman. Well, let's just push him through training. I mean, let's not let's not weed them out, and I hate to say it, but I mean, not everybody's meant for this trade, and it's just because of let alone the physical demands of it, the mental part of it. You have to have your head on right when you're working. And I was fortunate enough to work close to home through my career. Of course, Houston being as big a city as it is, I was able to work most of the time, so I didn't have to travel as much as everybody else. I actually am traveling more now in the position I'm in than I had to when I was in my tools. Um, but you knew when somebody wasn't meant to be in it, and my worry is people may overlook that just to fill a position, and it's going to cause problems. It's going to, hey, my brother-in-law wants a job. He got laid off and the tire shop, and I think he'll be a good lineman. And the next thing you know, he's in the air working, and he doesn't have the training. I don't. That's my worry.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
yeah.
No, that is a very valid concern. And I just pulled out my notes from the EEI meeting. What they said was 80,000 electricians are needed each year for the next 10 years. This is by
Mhm.
the IBEW, one of the head honchos there, right? So you talked a little bit about the qualified, less qualified people. What does the trade need to do to continue to make sure that we have qualified people,
Well,
highly qualified people?
it is don't skip on the training side of it. Again, don't just bring somebody in and just push them along. If you got somebody yeah, what's a good way to put that? Don't forget what got you to where you are. Don't
Yeah,
let your standards down. Don't let your qualifications, what you think that they need to have to do this work. Don't let that slide just to fill a roster on a crew
yeah,
on a job.
yeah,
That
yeah.
that that's the best way I could say to put it. We deal with manpower right now, trying to man up the little bit of work we're doing right now, and it's going to be tough. It
Yeah, it
really
is going to
is.
be tough. But the challenge with compromising a little bit on your
Hmm.
training, safety, HP, all these things is you may not see the impact of it today because you may get lucky, but at some point the odds of something coming and affecting
Hmm.
your crew or project or a customer, the odds increase. The odds of an
Yes.
accident happening increases. The odds of a fatality, serious injury increases. That's the serious concern. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And the men in the field that are doing the work now you they're going to have to really be on their game to help bring those folks along that don't have the knowledge of the work, and not saying they can't be good and be even great linemen, but or operators. I mean, operators is a very challenging position too. Somebody that can run the equipment and the size of the structures and everything, getting the right people in every part of this trade. It's not just linemen. It's every bit of it. But just don't be prepared to take a little bit of patience and train somebody, but don't be afraid to weed them out if they're just
Yeah.
don't need to be in this work.
Yeah.
You're
So some
doing
people can't
them
make it.
you're
Some
doing
people
them
just
the
don't make
favor.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're not doing them a favor just by just pushing them for crew to crew.
Yeah.
Just it just is what it is.
Actually, I say this in my companies all the time. When you're compromising on the quality of people you have, you're actually doing a disservice to others in the company, to your customers, to your investors, uh, all this just to keep one guy happy. It is
Yeah.
better to just weed out that weak link so that your overall company is strong, right? This is
Hmm.
a tough call. People don't want to make tough calls, but when you don't make tough calls, somebody has to pull up the slack, and somebody has to make up for the weak link out there, and
Yeah.
that can only go so long, and it can go long. It can go for a reasonable amount of time because you have a very strong crew, and 9 out of the 10 may be very strong, so you can get by. But the moment that weak guy goes to a different crew with already a couple of weak guys, you're asking for failure to
Yeah.
happen at the end of the
Yeah.
day, right?
We ran into that back in the early to mid to late '90s in Houston as we were rolling 7 days a week, and it was all transmission, and you know it was a lot of work, a lot of wire going on, a lot of poles being set, and we brought in what's called the techs, the transmission techs. And now some of these guys they're usually from the non-union side. They come into the union, um, and that position was back. They had that position back in the '70s when all that transmission work was going on, and you couldn't find the hands. Well, we ran into this exact same thing. So because some of our apprentices, well, a lot of our apprentices actually knew more than some of these guys that were making more money than them. And, of course, the apprentices wanted to quit the apprenticeship. Well, that way I can make the money. And we wouldn't let them quit because, hey, eventually one day, you get that journeyman's ticket. And I'm speaking on the union side. You get
Yeah,
that journeyman ticket, that yellow ticket in your pocket. You can go anywhere in this country you want to go.
yeah,
Now, and
yeah,
you can tackle anything you want on energized work, non-energized, versus some of the other guys that they're only here because the work's booming, right?
yeah,
Um, but we ran into that less challenged guys coming in making more money because you're having to take it for their word or for their buddy that says what his skill level was. It's I've kind
yeah.
of dealt with it back then, so I
And
know it's coming.
that's where the ticket makes a difference, right? You want somebody else.
Again, I do not want to slight anybody that's not on the union side because there is some, and I'll use the word, there are some badass hands over there.
Yeah,
You got good hands, union, non-union. You got bad hands, and it's just a person. But I know we dealt with this back in the '90s, and I know that time is coming again.
yeah, yeah. No, it's already there, my friend. So let's talk.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I didn't
It's
want to
already
say it,
there.
but it
It's
is.
al- it's already there. You know, how would you mentor and encourage kids, right, of different backgrounds, if you will, to pursue a career in the line trade? What would you say to a 20-year-old kid? Why would he or she pursue a career in the line trade? What's your pitch?
Well, I'll use something that actually happened one day. I had a guy coming over to uh, put propane into our propane tank at our house, and it was a young guy, and he was looking at our property, and and he goes, "Man, one day I hope to have this." And I said, "Well, it takes a lot of work, to get it." And it wasn't no mansion or nothing like that. It was on 5 acres, and took me my whole career to get to that. Um, but he asked me how the type of work we did, or I did, and I told him what it was. He didn't even know it. He didn't know what that type of work was, and I explained to him what it was all about. Like there's opportunities, and but it takes doing this type of work. And I'd explain what the work was, and
Yeah,
the physical side of it, the mental side of it, and being away from home, which I know it's tough. It's tough being away from home. You got to be ready to go to work when you don't want to go to work, right? And I've had that conversation with more than one person that wanted to be a lineman but didn't know what it was, and we'd explain to them what it was. Um,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it is a very good living. Um, it can be very rewarding. You'll it sounds like a commercial. You
It
make
is
it
a
what
commercial.
you make it what it's gonna be for you. It's a
Yeah,
very good trade. It is a very tough trade, whether you're in a vault doing underground or you're up on top of a tower or flying on a helicopter. It's a very tough trade, but it will give you you'll get as much as you put into it, but it is a tough trade.
But it's a fulfilling career,
Yes, it is.
right?
It has been. It's been a really good career. I'm glad I didn't stay roofing houses.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So,
Hey.
it's a good one. You thank your mom for that, right? Michael,
Yeah.
I thought
When I
that,
see her, when I see her again, if I go upstairs, I'll see her again,
yeah.
and I'll let her know. Thanks, mom.
Yeah, yeah. No,
So
you know, I don't know if you've seen the Michael Jordan documentary. What is that? The Last Dance. I
yes,
saw
I did.
that. You saw that, right?
Yeah.
Where honestly, the history of the history of Michael Jordan, history of the sneaker business, history of Nike, it all changed honestly by Michael Jordan's mom, right? The push to actually
Yep.
nudge rather to sign with Nike. So we all have our moms to be thankful for at that point, right? So,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, all right. So, let's get a little bit into um, the impact of AI in the business, right? So we already see this, the impact that AI is having on data centers, the build out of data centers, which means more transmission lines, more distribution lines, which means more work for the trade. I mean, it's like nuts, right? Because
Yep. Yep.
the amount of power that is needed to power the thirst of these data centers, nobody really knows, but everybody knows it's going to be crazy high, right? You see, states like Ohio, Virginia, and all these places, power bills going up because consumers having to pay for some of these data centers getting built for Google, Amazon, all these places. But let's not get there. The crux of the question is, what is your take on the impact, potential impact of AI in our business, in the line trade, and the utility business itself?
I let alone the workload that you just spoke about. Um, where I see the benefit, and I'm not a IT person. Like I said, I was barely able to get onto this show for you. Uh, but the where I see it's going to be a huge benefit is to help out the engineering division, the engineering departments. There's so much work, and there's only so many of those people too that are trying to get these jobs designed and workable and out the door. And then it's going to help out the I would think the companies that are building the materials and everything, help streamline operations.
Yeah,
That's where I see the benefit of it is. I mean,
yeah,
and I'm a simple lineman, but
yeah.
uh,
But do you guys on the line side, do you guys ever stop trying to help the engineering team? I'm an engineer. You always know what's going to help engineers, right? You guys know
No,
better
no,
than the
no.
engineers.
No, it's, just speaking from the workload that I've tackled over the years is it's engineering has a lot on their plate, and everybody wants to get on them about why isn't this job ready to go, and why did put yourself if you do put yourself in their shoes a little bit, you'll find out you're not sitting there at that Etch-a-Sketch like I use and just trying to work something out. There's a lot to it. Uh but I had a guy, my wife and I, when we live down toward Corpus, and we go to this place called Water Street, and, there's a guy he was a bartender, and he was, um, an engineer. He's going through the engineering school, and he asked me, what did what could I tell him? What could I advise him on? Which surprised he asked the question, but I said, don't disregard what the people in the field suggest or mention. Somebody may
Yeah,
walk by with kind of a sly, you may think it's a silly comment to you, but it's just try not to get in your business but like, hey, that's not going to work. Take a look at that a little bit. We're not trying to down you, but that's not
yeah,
going to work.
yeah. You know,
Don't disregard the people in the field. They know.
I want to really get there because Daryl
Uh oh.
Hallmark really beautifully, eloquently uh, talked about it in my show. What has been your experience working with engineers? I mean, engineers, I mean, me included, right? Go to school, have a graduate degree, you go EIT, PE, multiple states, you think you know it all, right? I mean, I definitely am not wired that way, but you come out of school. What has been your experience working with engineers? What's your pet peeve? How can engineers develop a better working relationship with guys like you?
Come out in the field sometimes. I think a little bit of time in the field to just see. We bid a job and we were doing it over towards Shreveport, and we're walking the line, and the engineer is looking at the wood H frames and going, "Man, these are bigger, in real life." And I'm thinking, "Oh crap!" But yeah, just come on out in the field a little bit, take a ride through, just see what it's all about, and it would do some line hands good to go in there where they're at and just see what they have to do.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so yeah, just a little bit of field time just to come out and see what they're designing. But other than
yeah,
that, I've not had a whole lot of issues with engineers.
yeah.
So we
Have a
just try
better
to talk to them.
appreciation. Yeah, have a better
Yeah,
appreciation for
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
people in the field. Have a better appreciation for the challenges in the field. Have a better appreciation for constructability issues, because when you build something, it's not, or rather when you design something, it's not something that always going to be 100% going to be built that way, because you don't know what the challenges out there in the field are. So if you spend some
Yeah.
time in the field, which honestly I was very fortunate to do that early in my career, which helped
Hmm.
me later on,
There we go.
uh, that really helps. Would you not agree
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it'll make the project managers happy because there'll be less change orders. You bid a job and don't realize you're in a swamp, and like, well, you designed it for totally different setup, and that's not going to work.
It'll help the American economy, right, by being
Yes,
more
yeah,
efficient.
yeah. It will. Some contractors are mad because I just cost them some change orders, but sorry about that. Uh, there's plenty of work coming, guys.
That is so true.
Yeah,
So
that's what I think. I
yeah,
appreciate each other's side of the business.
yeah, yeah. So going back to AI, I was having a chat with our common buddy Corey the other day. He was
Legend.
He was up in Idaho. He was driving. He was driving it with his wife for their 25th anniversary dinner, and here he is talking to me. All right, I'm like, dude,
Mhm.
I'll hang up the phone. But anyway, he was talking a little bit about AI and how he thinks it's going to impact the line trade by significantly improving estimations, right?
Mhm.
What's your take on that?
Just like what I just mentioned. I mean, you can get out here and see, well, this is not going to work, so I know I can get a change out of them later. But they tell you to bid it out as it's drawn, so okay. It's going to make. I would think it'll make the jobs more efficient, and things should
Yeah,
roll. And hopefully, and again, I think it needs to be that way to get the work done that's coming.
yeah.
You
What about
know,
storm response, right? Uh, if AI is able to predict where the storms are and help pre-position crews, help predict which fuse is going to go off. You're able to do a little bit better with management and things like that. What's your take on that?
if it's able to, and maybe I'm overthinking this, but maybe if it's able to understand what the system that it's about to hit, what condition it's in, how much maintenance has been done on it. Do we have a bunch of rotten poles? Is this a system that everybody's just waiting for the storm to hit it so the government can pay to fix it? Types. It could help prepare that, help uh, maybe understand the material that might be needed. I
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know. I
yeah.
don't know how I can predict other than uh, maybe narrow down where the storms are coming in at and time frame and strength.
Get
Uh,
crews pre-positioned, right? Because you're able
yeah,
to send out messages faster,
yeah. It looks like
alert
it's
them
really coming
faster.
in here, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So get your roster built out faster,
yeah,
and things like that, right? So that's
yeah.
the efficiency piece out there.
And
So
knowing if it's coming into a um, metro area or into a wooded area or swampy area, like, hey, that way the contractors know what to roll in there with, and to get locked down with the rental companies. Hey, we know it's
yeah,
coming in here. We know the terrain in here. We're going to need this, this, and this. And one of the biggest and again, material. One of the biggest problems with storm, and you get a lot of crews, a lot of manpower in there, and they want to go to work. They want to work. is you're waiting on material.
Yeah.
You're sitting there waiting. Nobody wants to hold material because it's cost them money on taxes. I mean,
Yeah. 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 No, you're
yeah,
right.
there's that's what helps hurt storm response right there. It's not the guys.
Yeah.
I mean, the 66 people dealt with a lot of bad press last year with that storm. People don't realize a storm hit before that one and got the ground all wet, right? So
Yeah.
trees are all just, they're not, when you have a pine tree not snapping off, but blowing over, the ground's wet. So, and it
Yeah.
just blew on over. I mean, AI could help predict stuff like that, but
Yeah,
yeah,
100%. Honestly,
yeah.
in Houston, they're doing it now where
Hmm.
they're able to predict which fuse is going to have an outage
Yep.
with almost a mid 80% accuracy. And they're able to pre-position crews,
Yep.
send VM crews just before the storm hits so that you're able
Yeah.
to get the storms done. And, the other key aspect of, this, having done years and years of storm is to putting a roster together. Where I think AI can really help is, hey, a storm is going to hit. I live in Plano. A storm is going to hit Plano, Texas. We need 300 people coming to this area, 300 linemen. We're going to put a crew of, I don't know, 20 crews of different categories of people. It's all coming together. I think that's exactly where there's a lot of potential
Yeah.
for efficiency, if you will, right? So,
Yes.
uh,
Yep.
yeah. So
I agree.
yeah. So what is, as we kind of wind down, right? What is something that you're really proud of, your single greatest achievement that you're proud of, in your career that you want to share with everybody here?
Well, I'm going to try to leave names out, but in my time period when I went to start a company between in 2014 and I left in 2020 was Mesa Line Services.
Yeah.
And we had it in mind as we
I know Mesa. We worked with you guys.
yeah. I'm trying to watch what I say here. I'm only speaking from 2014 to 2020. Um, we had built something that I felt proud of because we had people that wanted to come work. They knew we did not want them to cut corners. We had our share of incidents as it was. I mean, it's just there's no we weren't perfect, but knowing that a lot of hands they wanted to come and go to work. Of course, a lot of guys you know everybody's traits. This guy needs 7 days a week. This guy only wants to work 50. When they'd call or I'd talk to them, I would tell them what type of work I had and give them a heads up. Hey, if I may not have what you want. If you want to come on. But this is what I have. I wouldn't trick them into showing up for work. And I'm proud that we built the company that a lot of people wanted to come work at.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's one of my biggest things right there. And I've been able to take care of a lot of my family and family members with this
Yeah.
trade.
Yeah.
So,
And that's an important point I want to really hit upon is importance of passion for your work and family. Kind of in your family, kind of blends together because
mhm,
yeah, a lot of your alignment, right? What's
mhm.
your how important it is for you the family and work for you?
I wish, looking in hindsight, I wish I missed, you and RL were talking about that, uh, about being away from home and the strain on the families. I wish I'd have spent more time at home. And again, with me being working in the home, the local area, just the hours, 60, 70 hours a week, bringing in the paycheck, bringing in the money to live the livelihood that you wanted to live. I really wish I could have just sat back a little bit more and spent a little more time at the house with the kids and stuff. But and
Yeah.
yeah, stuff like that. I mean, again, you make the trade what you want it to be, and hindsight, I wish I was able to stay home a little bit,
Yeah,
but
yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, you worked hard, you made a good living, but you
mhm.
sacrificed quite a bit, and it's always tough to pull that balancing act off, right?
It
So
it 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 is, and it's but it could be done. I mean, let people off when they need to take off. When they have something coming up, man, don't be just understand what it was like for you coming up, and help
Yeah.
others out, I guess.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
saying that completely wrong, but there we
Yeah.
are.
No, no, no. It's a fair. And what is the, in such a long career that you've had, you always, I'm sure, have had your fair share of challenges, failures,
Hmm.
learning
Yeah.
experiences. What is something that you want to share with our audience and viewers here, listeners and viewers?
Well, I kind of mentioned it earlier about the accidents that happen and the toll that it takes, let alone on the family that it happened to. I mean, just yesterday I was told of a friend of mine's son who he got burnt
Wow.
2 days ago,
Wow.
and I'm not going to say much more about that because it's early. But I mean, and he's a good young journeyman. I mean, and it
Wow.
it, it could it could happen.
Hmm.
But you may have to edit this one because I kind of lost train of thought on that one. But it's just
Yeah.
yeah.
Safety. I mean, at the end of the day, let's
Safety,
call it
safety,
safety, right?
safety, yeah,
Safety. I
just
mean,
just just safety, don't God,
yeah.
you got me on that one.
Yeah. No, honestly, I mean, listen, I mean, I didn't get you. Honestly, you were so natural about it. At the end of the day, it's about safety. You cannot overemphasize safety, right? We
Yeah,
talked about how it went from 1 and 2 to 1 in 2,000, but in this same, we're about 59 minutes into this interview here. We've shared two personal experiences that you know of. One obviously fatal, your nephew, and the other one here, burnt, right? So
yeah,
you can never overemphasize on safety, and that's a really good way to uh, put about it, right? So,
yeah.
yeah. So
It it's tough to it's tough to hear about anybody, it don't matter what part of the line trade they're in, they're all part of the same field you're working in, and if it doesn't pull on you a little bit, your heartstrings, I guess is a word to say, to know that somebody else got hurt and, to try to find out what happened and so it doesn't happen again. And it's, I mean, if you don't feel for the family, I don't know what's wrong with you, but it's a tough trade and it could be very rewarding or extremely horrible on
Yeah, yeah.
somebody. It's,
No, the things that you talked about and the quick discussion that we had about AI, one of the things that RL and I talked about and Jeff White and I talked about was how potentially AI could humanize the line
Mhm.
trade. And what we talked about was, RL has over the years seen a clear trend of younger workers getting hurt more often, but not the seriousness of those injuries are a little less, right?
Yeah,
Older workers get hurt less often, rather, but the severity is much higher, right? And it goes into human performance as well because you're an autopilot when you're a seasoned employee. A lot of things you do all the time repeatedly because you're an autopilot, you don't think enough, right? So where I think AI also has a huge role in the line trade is honestly to humanize construction, to humanize the line trade, which is, hey, you yourself alluded to the fact that you worked 60, 70 hours a week, you didn't get to go back home too often and things like that, right? So if you can get a nudge to say, hey, it's time to call your kids or time to call your family or,
mhm,
time to take a break and go back home a little bit or cook the barbecue, all those things can actually be helpful because,
yeah,
like that Apple Watch that people are wearing, I don't wear one, but people wear and kind of gives you that nudge. I think it'll help a little bit. That's one of the things I see where it can humanize construction,
yeah,
if you will.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I agree. It's, people gotta know when you're doing this work, not to you kinda have to leave home at home. Well, the older lineman that I told you I listened to back in the day, that was some of the better advice is when you're at work, you need to have your mind on work and not at home. If you got something going on at home, maybe you don't need to be here today. Just to keep them out of trouble, keep them safe. Some guys just tell them, "Hey, man, suck it up." But, sometimes they can't. Sometimes you gotta recognize, and that's where it comes into these young foremen or any foreman, being your first line is he's gotta be able to recognize if his crew's good to go that day. And if they're not, plan the day differently. If not, shut it down. Uh, you don't have to try to push through it. If your crew is not right, or somebody on the crew isn't right, you need to take the time to see what's, most guys, they're not going to tell you their personal stuff, but you can tell when somebody's mind's not where it needs to be. If you've worked with them for a while, you can tell when you need to go get them off to the side and talk to them off to the side. Some guys get embarrassed talking around other people, but just, hey man, I've had it too many times in my career. Hey, what's going on? Are you okay? And just, hey man, go to the house. Don't worry about it. Um, and most of the guys will be worried about being paid. Man, well, don't worry about it. Go take care of that. We'll take care of you. And yes, bosses out there in the world,
honestly, it's
it happens.
safer for everybody.
You
Right.
have to take care of your people in the field, because that's who where I'm at right now. Other than working for my brother, I'm with a really good boss, and he understands where the money's made at, and it's in the field, and he's all about taking care of the people, watching over them, make sure they're good. So, and you got to do that. It can be done. You can make money doing it.
So, hey, let's get into rapid fire questions now. Right.
Uh-oh.
So,
No, officer, I didn't do it. No. Oh, sorry.
uh, man, oh my goodness. I totally forgot to hit the record button here. You're okay
This
with
whole
that?
time?
Yes.
This entire time?
Can you do it again?
For the whole meeting?
Yes, I just got you, man. I know you get people with your pranks all the
Wow.
time. I got you, my friend.
You wait till next time I see a DOS.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You did get me. That was a very good one,
I
but
did get you.
I mean,
I
you're
did
gonna put
get
me
you.
to the dark time, and there's gonna be some bears coming out of here. You gotta deal with my wife. That's all I gotta tell you. Let's go. Yeah.
All right. Rapid fire questions for you. College sports, pro sports.
Well, like I said in the beginning when me and you talked, we watched the AA team of down at Corpus Christi for the Astros. I kind of like that in between there. I guess you'd say the college level up. I prefer that.
Yeah, yeah. I know you said your wife is Astros fan. She likes the Astros. I did go to the World Series, Phillies, Astros World Series, and somebody I went with super nice enough to get me this beautiful memorabilia. And I actually went to the World Series back in 2018 too, with maybe one of our common customers in TNMP, and I went to the 2022 at Centerpoint. So that's good. So let's talk about college, no college. What's your take? I mean, you've been to the line trade. You've been phenomenally successful.
I tell some people that don't let it hold you up just because you don't have college time. But if you plan to go into the management side, if you even remotely would want to work so far into this and then go into management, go take some business classes and stuff like that. I really wish I had that kind of training, because, I know what I'm okay at doing, and I know what I'm not. And that's where the team comes into play, is getting the right people to do the right job. It's not a deal breaker, but if you're looking to be more than just somebody in the field, that take some night courses, something like that.
Helps learning about business. Helps learning about fundamentals of finance and accounting. Helps learning a little bit about marketing. Helps learning about
Yes.
some basic business principles, right? Customer service, putting a great product out there. A lot of these things come naturally to people, but it's good to have a little bit of formal education just to make sure you kind of smoothen out those rough edges, if you will, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because it takes both sides to actually run a company. It's not just the guys in the field, and you got to have that back office and the support. If not, they don't get paid. But anyway.
Yeah. So, you've just been elected President of America, President Garland, right? What is the one thing you're going to do, President Garland?
I watched those other shows, and I always wondered what I was going to ask that didn't sound selfish. But I would actually have to say, and it's a worry of mine, because where I'm at in my career is make sure Social Security and insurance is there for the
Yeah,
people that have worked their butts off, that it's going to be there.
yeah,
That's my big worry point right now is getting to that position to be able to just step away and complain about the guys being in my backyard turning my power off. Making sure that
yeah,
everybody's got their retirement that they put into, and they've got insurance. They don't have to battle. They don't have to worry, and that would be my biggest thing.
yeah. No, fair
I would
point.
have to
Actually, fair
say,
concern. Honestly, if your generation doesn't have it, mine certainly
you're
wouldn't
screwed.
have it.
Yeah, I'll use a good technical word. You are screwed. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Sorry about that, but yeah.
Rick Garland. Obviously, what a pleasure to talk to you. About the line trade. Thank you for your
Yes, sir.
seriously generous time you spent. You're out there on your vacation in California, and I know right behind you there's a black bear just watching over you. Don't worry about it, right? But I appreciate.
I'm trying to find my runaway, get away from him. I'm too damn old to run. He's just gonna have to eat.
I
Uh,
appreciate the time, my
um,
friend. I appreciate the
yeah,
time.
yeah. No, one last thing is just everywhere I've ever been, it's a team of people that's been put together that's made everything come together. I mean, us old linemen, I don't know if the young linemen have the phrase, but you run across that lineman that says he knows everything. Well, you need to be careful around that guy. He doesn't really know everything. Uh, build your teams accordingly, and everything will work itself out, I
Yeah.
guess.
Honestly, that's applicable for anything in life, right?
Yeah.
Everything you do in life. So not just the line trade, but it's just great advice, parting advice to everybody. So, Rick Garland, honored to have you on the show. Pleasure to have you on the show.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Coming up next on From Boots to Boardroom.
People come to work to do a job. And we're basically removing their livelihood every time we're firing them. And the problem is that it's not the responsibility of a technician that we don't have work. It's the responsibility of the manager who didn't get the work.
On our next episode of From Boots to Boardroom, we talk to Imad Al-Turk, the former CEO of Wagoner Engineering and co-founder of the International Museum of Muslim Cultures, who has spent decades shaping both infrastructure and community. Imad shares what it actually takes to pivot from technical engineering to high-level executive strategy, the mindset shift, the calculated risks, and the resilience along with critical lessons on leading diverse teams, the value of cross-cultural dialogue in business, and how to build a legacy that goes far beyond the bottom line. Stay tuned.